The next James Bond film, which I believe is going to be called No Time to Die, marks Daniel Craig's final performance as Ian Fleming's 007. And as much as I've enjoyed the grit and the realism that Craig has brought to the character, I have to say the later Bond films haven't been as much fun to watch for me as the earlier ones, because I'm not really into watching Daniel Craig getting tortured. But rumours are going around on the internet on who will be the next actor to play Bond, and one name that keeps coming up is Idris Elba, and he is an outstanding actor. I'd love to see him in some spy movies, but for me, I still don't think the time's right for a black actor to play James Bond. And I say that because there's a rise in racism at football matches and far-right groups, and Bond films always reflect the time when they were made, and I think it would be hard to make an entertaining film that contained those aspects of society. I mean, let's be honest, if James Bond was a black guy driving an Aston Martin round London, he'd be getting pulled over by the police every 5 minutes, and you'd have a couple of casually racist coppers wandering over to the car going, "Is this your car, sir? It says here it's registered to Universal Exports. What precisely are you exporting? I think we've got a drug dealer here, lads. Let's drag him down the station and kick the shit out of him." That's not the most unrealistic thing that could happen in a Bond film. For me, that happened in Timothy Dalton's film, The Living Daylights, where Bond, who's a spy, infiltrating the Soviet Union, who you would think would keep a very low profile, be low-key, blend in. So what car did MI6 send him in? Well, not a Lada or a Trabant that were commonplace at the time. No, they sent him in a fucking Aston Martin, a right-hand drive Aston Martin with British plates on it. If they put him in a Polonaise, no one would look twice at him. But now there's another name come up for someone who wants to play James Bond, and it's Emilia Clarke, best known for playing Daenerys Targaryen in Game of Thrones, who I suspect is the most wanked over woman in the world. But she's expressed an interest in playing a female version of James Bond, and there are many good female spy thrillers, so for me just hijacking the brand wouldn't work, because what do we know about Bond? Well, other than he's apparently fucking bulletproof, James Bond never catches any sexually transmitted diseases, because Bond is a mad shagger. And audiences think nothing of him ploughing his way through 4 or 5 women in a 2-hour film. But I think because there's still a double standard in society, unfortunately, if a female spy was doing the same thing with men, by the third bloke she got to, the audience would think she's just a slag. Also, there's practicalities to consider. Every Bond film has that scene, either in a casino or on a yacht, where all the gentlemen are wearing dinner jackets, all the ladies are wearing cocktail dresses. So Bond, the female Bond, Jane Bond, we'll call her that, she'd have to be wearing a cocktail dress to blend in. So when the shit hits the fan and the guns come out, is she meant to give chase in 5-inch heels? Or is there going to be a shot of her taking her shoes off, like a pissed up woman on a hen night? Because the kudos of 007 will be greatly reduced should there be a scene where in her right hand she's got a Walther PPK blazing away, and in her left hand she's carrying her fucking shoes. Also, I'd worry about just everyday sexism creeping into the writing, because Hollywood is still very male dominated. I mean, picture the scene. M is having a meeting with all the 00 agents, but there's one chair that's empty. And he'd look over and go, "Does anyone know what's keeping 007? And say 004 would put his hand up and go, "Yeah, she's outside trying to park." I offered to, guide her back into space, but she rolled down the window and shouted something about being a strong, independent woman, so fuck her. Or if Jane Bond went to see Q, if he goes, "Now pay attention, 007, would she have to lose her shit because he's mansplaining to her?" Oh, and I'll say this as a bloke. If Bond was a woman, then she'd have a time of the month, and I don't think I'd be comfortable with the idea that there's a woman running around with a firearm and immunity from prosecution when she's being hormonal. I mean, that would be a great scene in a Bond film. And walking in to see the Prime Minister going, "Sorry, PM, I think we're going to have to revoke 007's licence to kill when she's got the painters in. Because yesterday, she was sitting in her Aston, crying and eating chocolate, and then for no reasons we can work out, she drove off and shot 5 of her ex-boyfriends. Yeah, 5, she is a bit of a slag. So, for me, keep James Bond, as Ian Fleming intended, a 6-foot white guy with an athletic build. And whoever the next actor is, they will do exactly the same thing that every actor has done since George Lazenby took over the role. Realise they're nowhere as good as Sean Connery.